Good morning. It's Wednesday, January 14th, 2015. This is Tech Talk Today, episode 115. My name is Chris, and boy, we got a lot to cover today. I guess CES is over, so everybody's back to making news, and we're going to start with Google this week. So before we get to that, why don't I say time-appropriate greetings to our Mumble Room. Time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room!
Failed intro.
Greetings.
Why is it failed?
Intro.
Why? What's wrong?
It's 116. 115 was yesterday, is what I was saying.
Oh. All right, episode 116 then. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fine. I guess I was distracted. So I will start with something that looks like it's the future. You know how many times, as Chris said, it's 2015 or 2000. I just had a rant this morning. It's like, it's ridiculous. Some of the things we don't have yet. Back to the Future was overly ambitious. However, Google's trying to make up for it right now. Say holla at Google's new Universal Translator. This is really cool. Google will scan signage in real time and in the camera, like magic, translate the words to your native language. So when you travel now, you should make reading signs much easier. This actually isn't the first app we've ever seen to do this, but this is the first from Google. It's instant translation with WordLens. Now, you might remember WordLens. Google bought them early last year. The Translate app already lets you use the camera mode to snap a photo and then do translations later. What they're doing now, though, is with 36 languages, they're able to do the translations in real time, just using your camera, which is going to be awesome. Makes me want to travel.
You know, it makes me almost want to put those in, like, Google Glass or something.
Oh, yeah. This totally seems like a job for Google Glass, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Not like Google Glass, but maybe even Google Cardboard or whatever Samsung has going on, where you can literally, it uses the camera to take a stereoscopic image and then translates all the signs right there in front of you. In the meantime, you walk around and look like a moron.
Well, and Imacon rightly points out that Bing has been working on something like this too. So it's not just Googs, but I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't eventually get baked into the operating system. Don't you think?
It's gotta.
Yeah. So eat your heart out, iOS users. It'll probably come to iOS soon too. And of course, Google also has Speech Translate. Speaking of iOS, we've gotten some ideas of what the new iWatch is going to do. The companion app has been revealed with some links, and we know some new features for the new iWatch that actually hasn't even been released yet. A couple of them are you can do an anagram of your name, so like your initials on the watch. You can set a passcode on the watch, so the watch can be locked. You can also unlock the watch with the phone. That's kind of neat. You can turn on voice commands. That's kind of cool. I don't know. So I got a link in the show notes if you guys want to check it out. I looked at it myself. You know what really jumps out at me about the Apple Watch is unlike the Google Wear watches that are out right now, like the little Google Moto 360 watch you can get, those are like full-fledged computers on your wrist. The Apple Watch is more like a dumb display. It's more like an Apple TV. You project from the phone into the watch. So all of the logic, all of the processing is done on the phone in your pocket and then sent to the watch, almost like Apple, like AirPlay. Now, at first you're like, well, that sounds like Apple's being cheap. But if you think about it, that means you could routinely upgrade the components in your cell phone and not need to replace the components in your watch, which means if you do end up being a sucker and buying like a $2,000 gold Apple Watch, you might not have to replace it every year because it's simply just using projection to get the information from your phone into the watch over Bluetooth Low Energy and Wi-Fi. And so this reveals more about how that works. I find this to be a fascinating approach, and it's different than every other watch, including the WebOS LG watch, all of the Android Wear watches. They're all doing it differently. There's some local apps on the phone or on the watch. Obviously, there has to be in case it loses connection, like the clock, the alarm, things like that. But for the most part, all of the logic is in the app on the phone. A new clock face feature called Monogram will be added, so that's going to be nice. Users will be able to enable subtle red dot on the Apple for a stopwatch. There's little things like little tiny tweaks you can do locally on the watch, but for the most part, all management is done through the phone. Eric, what do you think about a system like this? Do you prefer having the watch be the full-fledged computer, or do you like to have the idea of the watch being a projection device and the phone is the full-fledged computer?
Well, I was about to say this is exactly how what the smartwatches should be. They should be an external display to the phone. That way, the phone it's pretty much just getting what the phone is sending it, as opposed to running a full-fledged computer inside the watch. So yeah, I like this model much better than anything LG or anybody like that is putting out.
Are you buying an Apple Watch, Eric?
Negative. I can't do it.
Gotta have an iPhone to go with it, right?
I don't have an iPhone to go with it.
Exactly.
No.
That's the big thing. This is very Apple, right? When the iPhone first shipped, didn't do apps. It had a very select native amount of apps. You wanted web apps. This is how Apple starts these things, and they're kind of starting the. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe in 3 years, the thing's running all native apps locally. But
well, yeah, if you follow the trend, then yeah, it's very much a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you figure they got to start with more limited, restricted CPU. Speaking of, after a little time on the market and things get upgraded, Nintendo's doing a big update to the 3DS. The new 3DS XL is to launch on February 13th for $200. I'm not going to lie, you guys, I'm kind of tempted to pick one up. The Nintendo DS just is good gaming. It's just good gaming. I forgot it until I had my hands on one recently, and I was like, wow, this is actually really enjoying myself. So it's going to be bigger. The XL size version will only be available in the U.S. for the time being, but should expand out. Special gold version of the console, styled within the styles of The Legend of Zelda, will be available. The base package won't include an AC adapter, which is silly, but you could use the AC adapter from your previous DS if you have one. XL version of the 3DS. Keller, are you a gamer at all? Do you play any Nintendo consoles or anything like that?
It's been a while. I wouldn't mind probably going with the 3DS later on, but
yeah. I find it a nice alternative to gaming on your phone because you've got a device dedicated for doing this, so that makes a difference. You've got the physical controls, that makes a difference. And Nintendo's got some great games. And $200 for a nice 3DS might be worth it. So anyways, keep your eye out for it. Maybe you'll be interested.
Touchscreen doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no good, right? No good. You got to have physical buttons for games.
I've always been thinking, it seemed like the 3DS was a little small, and I like to see that they've made a bigger display for it.
That's what I was thinking the same thing, especially when you got to compete with, 10-inch tablets and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody here knows about Firefox. We all are big Firefox fans, and Firefox 35 just landed. Now, this is kind of cool. So one of the things that's built in now on Firefox is Mozilla Hello, which is a WebRTC-based sort of Google Hangouts alternative, much simpler, much quicker, and obviously free. But something else that's really exciting, and I hope they see this spread out to other platforms, native MP4 video playback now in Firefox. And on the Android flavor, you also get a dedicated desktop manager. So the simplified call process is done by eliminating some steps for Firefox Hello, making it even simpler, which is really cool. There's now just a conversation button that you click. You start the conversation. A window opens up showing you a self view of yourself until the next person you've invited clicks a link to join you. And then you're set up, and you're doing a conference call with just a couple of buttons inside Firefox. What do you think, Eric? Moving conference call capabilities into the browser, is that bloat, or is that a nice feature to have?
It's a nice feature to have. Once I see it actually working, then I'll change my opinion. But right now, I don't really have much of an opinion on it.
Yeah, I'm watching a video. They have a video up on the site, and it's it looks pretty good. I mean, it looks really simple.
Well, the interface is definitely simple. Why did that guy look like John O'Bacon? I'm not even kidding.
The Asian version of John O'Bacon?
No. Just before that.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm serious. That guy looked exactly like John O'Bacon.
So I'm thinking to myself, well, I mean, really, it's sort of like a social network if everybody has Firefox. You can call each other, and it's kind of neat. It's kind of
It is kind of neat. It's definitely a compelling feature that Firefox is bringing on after, in my opinion, not having too many compelling features lately. So it's really interesting.
What's cool about it, in true style of Firefox, is they really just need a standards-compliant browser. They don't actually have to be using Firefox on both ends. You're right, because it's WebRTC. So you could, in theory, start a hello conversation from a Firefox browser and answer it with a Chrome browser. Pretty cool.
Right.
Pretty nice to see them doing that.
Yeah, IMAJD points out a good point. Should have been an add-on, and that's not a bad idea because you do want Firefox to stay nice, light, and nimble, but at the same time, they do need something to market themselves differently than, say, Google or whoever. So this is something that they really need to be doing, is adding more features to their browser, in my opinion.
Yeah, although I'd like to see some of them. I'd like to see more into the hood stuff too. JMac217 in the Tech Talk Today subreddit submitted a story about 3D printed drones. So you can now 3D print your own frickin' drone. Here, if you're watching the video version, this is a scan of a 3D printed drone, like an X-ray scan of it. It just kind of looks like a robot that's going to take over the world. The kit, with the kit, I think the cost is kind of high right now. I think it's almost $9,000 plus shipping. So it's a little steep. But you get yourself one of these voxel printers, which look pretty slick. Then after that, you're just printing drones. So for $9,000, you can basically literally print drones. You got to buy the battery separately.
Yeah. I'd rather just go to the store and buy a drone that's already made for like maybe 100,
really?
200.
Oh, really? I think it's cool.
Think about the cost of production in this case. It's way higher than just going to the store and buying one.
Unless you were going to build a fleet.
By developing a full three-dimensional electronics printing platform.
So if you take a look at a lot of what's been printed up until now, it really amounts to trinkets in 3D printers. And as we look to the future, that's where I think we're going to start creating things
This is the CTO of Autodesk.
Printers could have made.
The circuits of today are flat two-dimensional circuit boards that are embedded into three-dimensional cases. This whole paradigm is going to change because we're enabling designers to create circuitry and physical objects at the same time using Voxelate's 3D printing technology.
Over the past decade, the Lewis Group has carried out thousands of experiments to create new materials for three-dimensional printing. I'm really excited to move this technology out of my lab into Voxelate.
With our Developer's Kit printer, you will be able to integrate electronics into mechanical objects. You will be able to print devices like quadcopters and integrated electromechanical assemblies that typically have to be manufactured through multiple methods. Our conductive ink is specifically formulated for 3D printing. Prints and dries at room temperature, has excellent electrical properties, and has excellent adhesion to other matrix materials.
We want to make it simple for users to create 3D printed parts with embedded functionality. We've partnered with Autodesk to make an end-to-end pipeline to do just that.
Wire enables users to bring in their CAD models, to place components, to route wires in 3D using the Autodesk Smart Platform. And that's really happening for the very first time. The software for this simply did not exist before.
We're fundamentally materials experts, so we created a platform specifically designed to be upgraded with different materials as we release them in the future. Our printer prints similar to typical 3D printers, layer by layer. To place a part, the printer stops, allows you to remove the bed, place the part inside of the material, and then replace the bed on the printer. It will print right where it left off, knowing that there's a part inserted inside of it.
We're excited to work with companies like Voxelate because they're really pushing the boundaries of where 3D printing is capable. And by incorporating conductive inks directly in the 3D printing process, we can start to create things that have function after they're created.
In order for 3D printing to reach its full potential, we need a broad palette of functional materials, coupled with the ability to have a multi-material 3D printing platform. With these kinds of tools at hand, we can truly print our imagination.
That is amazing. So it's much more than just drones. It's any electronic. That's a much bigger deal. Cool. That's a much bigger deal.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
Yeah. So, and the thing is what's brilliant about these is as the community develops better and improved models, you'll just print a better and improved version.
So you essentially have a 3D printer on your desk capable of printing any electronics you want. You're going to be your own manufacturer.
I think the sex toy market is going to be devastated. Everybody's going to be printing their own toys at home. Why not, right? You get to custom shape it. You get to put your own electronics in there. You download it and you share the pattern online. I think it's going to be a new industry. All right, you know what else is a new industry? Crowdfinancing. Go over to patreon.com/today. Patreon.com/today is where you go to help fund the roadway for the Jupiter Broadcasting Network, so that way we can work on cool stuff behind the scenes before we even have a way to make money from it. We're actually doing that right now with How To Linux, and we would appreciate your support funding the early investment in relaunching How To Linux. Patreon.com/today. 426 of you. We lost one yesterday. Maybe you can help pick that up. Plus, you get access to all the behind the scenes videos that we post there from time to time. Anything new and anything we've posted in the past. And you get to walk around knowing that you helped keep the Jupiter Broadcasting Network just a little weird. Patreon.com/today. Thank you, everybody, for your support, for keeping this show and all of our shows. That money goes to all productions on the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. Okay, so I decided to geek out this week and do a little self-therapy. A little, something that would just sort of replenish the Star Trek nerd in me. And I wanted to feature commercials of really old Star Trek games. But one of the best Star Trek games of all time was really before they were making commercials for video games. And so there is no commercial for it. What I found, though, is sort of a highlight of some of the in-game play and a bit of the game mechanics that'll get you used to it. It's an incredible game, and I highly recommend you go get it. A couple of years ago, I did a video on it because I love it so much. You can go watch that, too. It's Star Trek, the 25th anniversary, one of the best video games ever made, hands down. And I'm going to show you a clip of it. So thanks for joining us today. Tech Talk Today is live, 9 a.m., noon Eastern, jblive.tv. And techtalktoday.reddit.com is the subreddit if you want to contribute. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its mission? To explore strange new worlds, to discover new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
You see a small explosion, and the Klingon's hand falls to the ground with a dull thud.
I guess they don't make Klingons like they used to, sir.